If you are considering booking your hair transplant with Clinicana, then I wanted to just talk about the different pricing options. The pricing is laid out very transparently on their website, so I just wanted to talk you through the different packages, and perhaps you can save some money here as well. So how it works is, in terms of the hair transplant itself, they don't charge per 1,000 grafts or anything like that. So I know plenty of places do price in that way. Basically, they will do whatever's needed for your hair. You know, some people may only need 1,500 grafts. Some people may have 5,000 grafts. It's all kind of wrapped up in the package. So you don't need to worry about the price going up if you need a lot of grafts. As I've talked about in other videos though, if you do have total baldness from the front all the way back past the crown, then they'll probably break that into 2 different hair transplants. They won't want to do it all at once, okay? So, but as long as you've got kind of like either baldness at the back and you just want like sort of the crown area doing, or if you're like me where it's like bald at like the sort of first half of your head, then the actual package that you buy will have everything included, that, you know, the total number of grafts, etc. So try not to get too hung up on the number of grafts and things like that, because they don't price that way. It's a fixed price. So the prices you see here is the price that you will pay, whether it's like a massive amount of grafts or a smaller amount of grafts. So it's it's perfectly sort of straightforward in that sense. So then why the different packages? Well, it's basically just depending on a few things, mainly being the accommodation. So if you went for the basic package, you would have everything from the in the hair transplant. All the clinic side of things would be the same as all the other packages, but it doesn't have the 2-night stay in the hotel, you know, which includes breakfast. And you also get transfers as well and things with that with the standard package. So with the basic package, you're basically going to be making more of your own travel arrangements. So you need to get overnight accommodation for 2 nights, and you'll need to get transfers to and from the clinic and that sort of thing. If you go for the standard package, then you get the 2 nights at the NAS hotel, which I'll talk about in another video. You'll get the shuttles from the airport. You'll also get taken to and from the clinic. And obviously the clinic side, as I say, the same as, your hair transplant will be the same with every package, no matter what you choose. And then the premium, the extra bit that you get with the premium is another night stay. So if you wanted to go for, wanted to do some sightseeing or whatever, then you've got that extra bit of time in Istanbul. They also do add in an extra consultation service. I'm not sure if that's necessarily needed, because you get that on the day with the standard anyway. Well, you get that on the day with the basic actually as well. So you'll always get a consultation with a clinician before you go ahead anyway. And then they're saying that you get a special medical lotion as well. That might be something though that you can buy with the standard and the basic. So you might even be able to get that lotion if you really wanted it once you're there anyway. So for me, I went for the standard package. Everything that I needed was in that. Everything worked really well. Staying in the NAS hotel is perfect because everything just runs so smoothly, because you've got the transfers from the hotel to the clinic and back again. Just makes life easy. It's such a nice hotel. So for me, the standard was fine. If you're like on a really tight budget, then you probably could do it cheaper going on the basic and maybe booking like an Airbnb or something for 2 nights. You could maybe do that. But for me, the standard worked perfectly. The premium probably isn't necessary, but I've noticed actually recently they brought down the price of the premium a little bit. So it's actually, considering that you get the extra night stay in the hotel, the premium package is actually a pretty good value. But the main thing that I want you to understand though is that your hair transplant, the clinic side, will be the same no matter what package you go for. So it's just more about your accommodation and maybe just those extra little bits that you get with the premium. But you definitely don't need to go for the premium, so that's not something that I'm like trying to push or anything like that. The standard is fine, and the basic, you'll still get a really good hair transplant, so don't be worrying too much about that. The cost saving is nothing to do with your actual hair transplant. The other thing I wanted to mention as well around the packages and the hotel stays is that most people that were out there at the NAS hotel were staying with someone. They'd brought someone along with them, for a bit of moral support or a bit of company or whatever. So if you do have your partner or a family member or a friend, then don't worry about them coming over. Most people were doing that. So the hotel's geared up for that. You'll get a nice big room anyway. So and breakfast is included for that second person. So that's all nice and straightforward. You basically got that cost covered really for the NAS hotel. They can come in with you into the clinic as well. They'd probably have to sit in the waiting area. I don't know if they'd be allowed in the actual room while the procedure's been done, just because it's obviously a sterile environment and things. So I'm not sure on that one. But they would definitely be able to come. There's no issue with them coming, with you. But yeah, they might want to go off and sightsee or something for a few hours while you're actually getting the procedure done. So yeah, I would say the majority of people that went did have someone with them, and it's not a problem. They're kind of geared up, for people having a second person with them who's not there for a hair transplant. They're just there for a bit of moral support. So don't worry about doing that and making those arrangements for someone to come out with you. Obviously, the costs that are on top of these costs is mainly your flights to and from Istanbul. So obviously, you need to factor in your flight costs. And then on top of that, I'd just say really the only thing I spent extra money on was food at the evening meals. I stayed in the Naz hotel because the food was good, and I didn't really fancy just heading out to, looking for places to eat. So I just stayed in the hotel. But obviously, that's an additional cost for your evening meal. On top of the pricing. But overall, if you factor in your flights and that bit of extra spending money, it's going to come in at a really, really competitive price. You won't find a better offer, for the quality of what you get from Clinicana for the price that you pay. It's phenomenal, certainly compared to like how much you'd pay in the UK or the US or somewhere like that, where these procedures can be 10 times the cost. So it's fantastic value, but obviously, you do have to factor in all of the costs just to make sure that you're fully aware of what to expect.